to take it back a step, there really is a tension here between, there's a couple of tension points in the GLBT community. One is you have gay men, bisexual men, and transgender women who are born biologically male. So you have like males, and then you have bisexual women, lesbians, and trans men who are born biologically female. So you have like the male-female split. So to the extent that one recognizes that males are born into our culture in an I don't want to, I will, like, as an oppressor class to females who are born into an oppressed class. And I recognize a lot of people reject that, but like, the basis of radical feminism is misogyny and hatred of women, and oppression of women is the root. So everything that I do, or everything I try to do, is in recognition of that reality. And so then here you have the GLBT community, which is like, la, 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 like it's a whole different theory of oppression. Like the theory of oppression is the oppression emanates from one's nonconformity with set stereotypes about men and women. So this is how you're able to get this idea that trans women are oppressed by women because we are cisgender. And this is a huge tension point because, anyone who actually wants to look at this subject in an objective way, which I've yet to meet, maybe I've met maybe like 5 people in the GLBT community who are actually willing to engage with this subject matter objectively. The history of women's oppression is overwhelming. The statistics are staggering. The level of violence that is experienced against women, the number of women who've experienced sexual violence, both as girls and as adults. And it's perpetrated by men overwhelmingly. So you have this backdrop of it is not a level playing field. And then as gay people or as queer people or gender, however we want to call ourselves, coming into this community, like the rules are just changed. So you have, this disconnect between what we know to be true from, both, observing facts and, data that exists about violence against women, and also the lived experience that we have as girls. And we're basically told none of that matters in the gay community. And that's a problem because it actually does matter. And women in the gay community, particularly lesbians, have been asked to really just sign off on a lot of the transgender agenda and to wave goodbye to the stuff that actually impacts us specifically because we're female. And the worst example of this, I would say, is the idea that lesbians owe, an obligation to transgender women to date them. And this is really like the canary in the coal mine moment, right? So it's like, if you can get a lesbian to date you and you're a trans woman, that must mean you're a real woman. This is what I've heard said, and I've seen this written any number of ways. And quite honestly, that is nothing more than rape culture. It's nothing more than perpetuating the idea that women owe males access to our bodies sexually. And it's not revolutionary, I know that's hard for people to take because they want to pretend, that biology isn't a thing. But at the end of the day, biology is a thing. It exists. Exactly. So the other piece of that is there is this misconception that acknowledging that biology exists means that radical feminists or lesbian feminists say, well, that means you have to act a certain way. That's complete bullshit. And it's demonstrably false because most of the women who are, advocating the very unpopular position I advocate are dykes. Like, we're dykes. Like, we've been gender nonconforming for a really long time. Like, we engage in sexual relations with women, which is not what we're supposed to be doing. So that line of argument just doesn't pass the smell test. And it's just, can we get an honest conversation about what is happening in our umbrella community? I would be grateful for that, for a change, because quite honestly, I am sick to fucking death of talking about this issue. I am sick of it. And I'm sure people
Join
are
the
sick of
club.
me.